What's going on, guys? I am Kevin Muller, and this is Cinephellas, and I'm here to finish off 7 with Kevin, but today it's going to be 11 with Kevin because I just knocked out all the rest of the films that I had remaining on my list this year. I just want to say thanks for joining me on this journey. It was long. It was like 55, 60 movies I watched in the span of 6 months. And I had a good time. I saw some really good ones. I saw some really crappy ones, especially a few in here that I'll talk about. Anyway, let's get to it. In about a year or two, I think George Miller is going to be back with Furiosa, which is the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. It will cover Charlie Theron's character, but in that movie, it's going to be Anya Taylor-Joy. But before that, he gave us 3,000 Years of Longing. This is a movie that, if you're into the style of him, George Miller, you should check out. If you're a fan of his, check out. It's not an action movie. It's a movie about a professor played by Tilda Swinton who picks up a magical lamp, rubs the lamp, and out pops Idris Elba, who plays the genie. Instead of rushing into it, she's a very practical and logical person. So she starts asking questions about the process and, breaking down the fun of what usually people like, yo, give me this, give me this, give me this. And she's interested in him as a person, or as a being, I should say, or a genie. And this is where the movie really shines. We get to see his journey in that lamp through different masters and the stories of tragedy and love and everything else in between. And it's pretty good. It's really visually stimulating, those backstories. The third act of the movie kind of loses it a little bit. It's not as strong as the first two acts, but I really enjoyed it. Swinton and Elba, I'm not even going to say it. They're great. They're very good in this movie. As again, if you are a fan of him, definitely check this one out. I am giving this one 3 out of 5 Idris Elba hair pieces. Now, my next one is from the Academy Award winning direct. No, he didn't win director. I'm sorry. The film won Best Picture back in 2018 to much controversy. That movie is Green Book, and that director I'm talking about is Peter Farley. Yeah, I think it's Peter Farley. Yes. And this movie is the greatest beer run ever, and it stars Zac Efron. Now, Zac Efron, as I have said many times before, I really enjoy his charisma. I think he is a great actor when he's given good material. And here, Farley is a good director. He may be a little schmaltzy, but he's good. And in this story, which is true, I Googled a lot of this story after I finished this movie. It is about a kid whose friends are shipped to Vietnam while he stays there. He did some service in the military, but it was mainly stuff here. He didn't really leave, but his goal is to take a bag of beers and go across the sea and visit his friends. He has to find all his friends. It does get it with a little schmaltzy. It is a little ridiculous, even though it's true. But Efron and Farley really are a good team. I really liked Efron's work here. And I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5 Zac Efron hair pieces. Here is one of the crappy ones. I think Niall liked this movie. It is called Emancipation, or maybe he didn't. This is Will Smith's this was Will Smith's 2022 Oscar try. He's decent. The movie is a basic slavery movie where you got a guy running away from white people who are trying to capture him and make him a slave again. It's all been done before. The movie really offers nothing new, and it's really surprising because it's directed by Antoine Fuqua. Antoine Fuqua, great director, Training Day. What makes me upset with this movie is the last third of the movie should have been the entire story. The last third of the movie finds him becoming a soldier and going back and freeing those people who are his friends or his family or his people in his community, and punishing the white people who are the Confederates. And I think if they expanded that idea into a whole movie, which I think I read somewhere they did, I think it would have been really stronger. Sadly, they didn't. And until that third act comes, it's just really boring. The cinematography, though, I will give it that, is beautiful. It is watch this on a big screen if you want to. It's very, very beautifully filmed, but unfortunately, I'm going to give this 2 out of 5 Will Smith slapping hair pieces. All right. Devotion is my next film. Jonathan Majors, who is in a bit of a legal trouble right now, and Glenn Powell, who you might remember from Top Gun Maverick. They are playing fighter pilots in the Korean War. Jonathan Majors is playing Jesse Brown, who's a very, very famous fighter pilot who unfortunately died. And this is the story of their friendship and everything in between. It's fairly a basic movie. There are really not that many surprises. The dog fighting is pretty well done and filmed. But it's really Majors. Like Majors, it sucks that he's in legal trouble. And I hope he gets out of it because he's a great actor. And he really gives Jesse Brown a really nice step, very heroic, very, very proud person, very good at his job. And it was a joy watching him in this movie. And I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 Jonathan Majors hair pieces. Now, number 5 is something that I'm really interested in the Cinephellas and your opinions at home. It is not the best movie I saw. It's not even on my list. It's not the worst movie I saw, but it's a movie that I think would generate a lot of conversation. It's called The Son. It is Florian Zeller's follow-up to the 2020 film The Father, which starred Anthony Hopkins, which won him the Academy Award, and he was incredible in that movie. And that movie was insane, and it is a frightening movie. I consider that stuff more scary than like clowns or aliens or anything that's thrown into horror movies. Here we are thrown into the story of Hugh Jackman and Laura Dern, who are divorced parents. They are parents of a kid who's suicidal. Vanessa Kirby is the second wife of Hugh Jackman, who is thrown into this ordeal too. She doesn't know really how to deal with it because she is kind of young. It is tough to watch. It does bring up a lot of ill feelings for anyone who has been connected to someone who committed suicide or, maybe thought about taking their own life. But, it's a very deep film. It's not perfect. It does get preachy at points, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was very moving. Anthony Hopkins does make a cameo appearance. It's a one scene performance, and I think it's a great performance. I think he should have been nominated for an Oscar for supporting actor. Hell, Judi Dench was nominated for Shakespeare in Love, and she won that year. And I think she was in the movie for like 5 minutes. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything about that character. I want you to watch Hopkins just do his thing. He owns the screen, and it's just a joy to watch. Him and Hugh Jackman are in the same scene. It's a great scene. But again, this isn't a perfect movie. It is a little melodramatic, but it will make you think. It will generate conversation. I think that's what all great art is supposed to do. I'm giving this one 3 out of 5 Hugh Jackman hair pieces. Now, the next one is Pray for the Devil. I'm not really gonna say anything. All I'm gonna say it's another year. It's another Exorcism movie that is nowhere near as good as with The Exorcist did 50 years ago. It's cheap, it's boring, it's bland. Let's move on from it. It's getting 1.5 out of 5 devil hair pieces. My next one is spoiler alert. Jim Parsons, as you might know him as Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, who is gay in real life. Here he plays a man who is gay and recounts his relationship with a guy he meets in the city, and he's dying, and we basically go through the entire relationship from the beginning to the unfortunate end. It's a typical film. Michael Showalter, who did the Big Sick, and the what's the other movie? The one with Amanda Seyfried on Hulu. I cannot think of it. The Dropout. Yes, The Dropout. He did this movie. He's a competent director. He gets the most out of it. It's bland, and there's a section of this movie where he injects a sitcom scenario into it, and I don't think it fit at all. I know what he was trying to do, but it doesn't work. But outside of that, it's a very heartwarming film. It's very heartbreaking. It's very sad. But if you're looking to cry a little bit, and see a nice romance play out, go see this one. And I'm giving this one 3 out of 5 Jim Parsons hair pieces. Now, A24 is a studio that always brings it. It always brings films with unique visions. And I was really excited to see The Inspection, which is about a guy who's a drug addict. He's closeted. He goes into the military and he basically goes through basic training. Again, nothing really new in this film. It's not terrible. It's nicely done, but it's bland. It's eh. And I think this movie could have been something if it had a little more kick. It doesn't command your attention. It doesn't pull your attention. It's just like it throws everything at you. You think it's controversial, but you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen that before, and I've seen it done better. I'm sorry, A24. I'm going to give this one 2 out of 5 military hairpieces, buzzed hairpieces. Now, my next one is Luca Guadagnino. I think that's how you say it. His film is called Bones and All. He is the director of a movie that I really liked from a few years ago called Call Me By Your Name, which starred Cannibal Armie Hammer. Just kidding. And Timothy Chalamet. And he brings Chalamet into this one. It is basically like a Bonnie and Clyde story, but they're cannibals. They eat people. They're on the run. Taylor Russell, who plays the female counterpart to Timothy Chalamet, they have good chemistry. It's a nice story. It's a little weird, but you're dealing with people, story about people who eat each other and fall in love. It's going to be weird. I like this. I thought Mark Rylance was very good, and Michael Stolberg. I am a big Michael Stolberg fan, and he is in this movie briefly, but he brings it. And in my opinion, it's a movie that's concept is a lot more interesting than the final product. You may feel differently. I thought it just could have been a little more stronger, but Chalamet is a joy to watch. He has charisma and everything like that. Russell is great and they're great together, but I just wasn't really pulled into this one. And I'm just going to give this one 2.5 out of 5 Chalamet hair pieces. Bill Nye was nominated for his first Academy Award for this movie, and he deserved it. This is a story of a man who is diagnosed with a terminal disease, and he's been working his life to basically build a playground in a section of his city where he lives. And with his remaining time, he wants to basically develop strong friendships and relationships with the people around him, but also get that playground made. Bill Nye is great. Guy's a great actor, brings it here, deserved it, as I said, deserved the nomination. Very nice film, very well directed, very well written. It's sad, but the subject matter is sad, but it is very well done. And I am going to give this 4 out of 5 Bill Nye hair pieces. Now, the final film in this whole series of me watching and catching up from 2022 is James Gray's Armageddon Time. Now, James Gray did Ad Astra and The Lost City of Z, 2 movies that I really liked. And this is his Fablemans. This is his story about when he was a child in the 80s, growing up in Brooklyn as a young Jewish boy, surrounded by his Jewish family members who were played by Anthony Hopkins, Anne Hathaway, and Jerry Strong from Succession. It's an okay film. It's when you're doing biopics like this of the director's life, it's hard because anyone's life, if I was to film a movie about my life, it may be interesting to some, but others may find it boring and not as interesting. And that's what the problem with this movie is. It's not really saying anything. Yes, the young boy, he has a friendship with a black boy, and so racism is thrown in there in the 80s. And that's I don't know. Nothing was really done that I haven't seen before, or anyone who's watched movies like we do here at the site. It's an okay film. I don't know, it's not as ambitious as it could have been. The young actor Bank Repeater is good because the lead character of this film, Paul, who is the surrogate for James Gray as a child, he's annoying. He is not a delightful character. He is a brat. And it's very hard to sympathize with him and basically buy into his story if you don't, side with the character, even even in the beginning of the movie, I did not like this character at all. It's the same way I feel about Holden Caulfield in Catcher in the Rye. If your lead character isn't interesting, he could be a bad person or have bad qualities, but if he is not charismatic in some way, it's going to be very hard for me to buy into anything that's going on the screen. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, James Gray. I love Lost City of Z. I liked Ad Astra. I'm giving this one 2.5 out of 5 James Gray hair pieces. Was I wrong? Was something out of these 11 that you liked or disliked? Tell us on the site. Let us know. And as I said, this is it. This is the final list of the 2022 movies I had to catch up on. I am almost done with my best and worst list. I'm actually going to show my friend my pick for the best movie of 2022. I'm not going to tell you now. I'm going to have you guys wait. But it's going to be here soon. I am off from work. I have 2.5 weeks off, so I will definitely be writing. I'm also going to write a review of The Flash, which I liked, which it was a little flawed, but I had a good time with it. But anyway, as we say at this site, I am Kevin Muller, and cheers.